Hello students, welcome to my channel Online Biology Tutorials. In this video, we will talk about the exemplar questions from chapter number 6. So the first question says that in a DNA strand, the nucleotides are linked together by. So nucleotides are linked together because DNA is a polynucleotidic structure, so they are held together by the phosphodiester bonds that are present between the deoxyribose sugar and the phosphate group, right? Next question is, a nucleoside differs from a nucleotide that it lacks the phosphate group. This is very, very important to know that nucleotide is made up of base, sugar and phosphate, whereas nucleoside is made up of just base and a sugar. Right. Next question number 3 is asking about the type of sugars that are present in deoxyribose and ribose, right? It is asking about DNA and RNA. So both deoxyribose and ribose, deoxyribose is present in DNA and ribose is present in RNA. So they are asking they are belonging to which class. So they are included in a class of sugars that are pentoses, means they contain only 5 carbon in them. Next question is, the fact that purine base always paired with the hydrogen bonds with a pyrimidine base leads to in the double helix of DNA. So if purine is there in one strand, suppose this is one strand, this is another strand, so we will have purine here and pyrimidine here. So what it will do, it will give rise to the uniform width throughout the DNA. So this is the right answer, option number C. The net charge on DNA and histones. DNA is negatively charged because of the phosphate group and histones are positively charged because they are composed of lysine and arginine. So the only option that is correct is option number C. Question number 6 says the promoter site and the terminator site for transcription are located at. So if you have an idea of the transcription unit, the promoter was there in the beginning, terminator was there in the end, and the region that intercalated between the promoter and the terminator was known as the structural gene. So they are just asking for promoter and terminator. It was there at 5' end, terminator was there at 3' end. So promoter will be there at 5' end and terminator will be there at the 3' end. Remember, whenever the word respectively is there, that means first word should be matched to the first number and second word should be matched to the second number. So in this case, if you are picking option A, this will be marked as wrong because promoter is not at 3' site and they are asking about respectively also. Next question. Question number 7. Which of the following statements is the most appropriate for sickle cell anemia? And the options are: it cannot be treated with iron supplements, it is a molecular disease, it confers resistance to acquiring malaria. All of the options are correct. Next question. One of the following is true with respect to AUG. It codes for methionine. This is absolutely true. It is initiating codon. Absolutely true. It codes for methionine in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. This is also true. So we will be marking option D as the right answer. Right? Question number 9 says that the first genetic code first genetic code was RNA only, and we have read that the first organisms that came to the earth, they had RNA. Now because in evolution always the thing that is stable, it proceeds further. Because RNA was unstable. Why RNA was unstable? It was because of its ribose sugar, because it had hydroxyl group at the C2 position, which was responsible for its instability, and that is why DNA being chosen as the genetic material, and most of the organisms on the earth, they have DNA as the heredity material. Now let's move on to question number 10, which is asking, with regard to mature messenger RNA in eukaryotes, what is the following that is applied? So mature messenger RNA is the one that is formed from heterogeneous RNA. So in that, exons will definitely be there, but introns will not be there, because introns are the non-coding sequences, whereas exons are the coding sequences. So they will be required, but introns will not be required. And with the process of splicing, introns will be removed, right? So option B is the right answer to this question. Question number 11 is asking the human chromosome with the highest and least number of genes on them are respectively. So highest, again respectively word is coming. That means highest and least. First the number should be selected for highest. So highest was there on chromosome number 1 and lowest was there in chromosome number Y. So this is matching to the question, whatever it says. So option C will be the right answer. Question number 12 is asking who amongst the following scientists had no contribution in the development of the double helix model for the structure of DNA. Rosalind Franklin was very much responsible. However, there is no much recognition of this lady because she died due to cancer. Maurice Wilkins, not much recognition, but then he worked. Arvind Chargaff, he gave the Chargaff's rule also, but Michelson and Stahl, they gave nothing related to the double helix model, right? So we'll be picking up Michelson and Stahl because they said about semi-conservative replication of DNA, not the double helical model, okay? So option D is the right answer. Next question is DNA is a polymer of nucleotides which are linked to each other by 3 to 5' phosphodiester bond. To prevent polymerization of the nucleotides, which of the following modifications would you choose? So to do the modification, of course, what we'll be doing? We will be working on option number C, or option number B is the right answer, not C, because 3 to 5' end is included in the phosphodiester bond. In one of the questions in this video only, in the beginning we talked about it in the first question, phosphodiester bond. So we will be working in the case of 3' end because 3 to 5' phosphodiester bond is there. So if we don't want to proceed with the polymerization, we need to block C3. That is involved in the phosphodiester bond. Next question says that discontinuous synthesis of DNA in one strand occurs because this is the right option. Option B, DNA dependent DNA polymerase categorizes polymerization only in one direction, and this is the reason because the other strand is 3 to 5'. So fragments are formed, and those fragments are known as Okazaki fragments, which are a part of lagging strand. Next question is which of the following steps in transcription is catalyzed by RNA polymerase? So it includes all students are making mistake. They are clicking either on initiation or elongation. This is not the right answer. Option D is the right answer, because just brush up your concept that termination occurs by RNA polymerase. Right, and it could be facilitated by a row dependent factor, then it is known as row dependent termination. If row factor is not involved, RNA polymerase definitely has to do its part because it has to bring on termination, right? So we'll be picking up option D as the right answer. Question number 16 says control of gene expression takes place at the level of. Right answer is transcription, because in transcription we have seen that splicing happened. What else happened? Yes, capping happened and tailing happened. So splicing refers to the removal of introns and ligation of the exons. Capping happened at the 5' end, tailing happened at the 3' end. Regulatory proteins are the accessory proteins that interact with RNA polymerase and affect its role in transcription. Which of the following statements is correct about regulatory protein? They act as both activators and repressors, means they can activate the process of gene expression or they may reduce it. Next question is which of the last human chromosome to be completely sequenced? It was chromosome number 1. And chromosome number 1, because it had maximum number of genes, so sequencing of it required maximum time. Question number 19, which of the following are the functions of RNA? And if you'll go on reading, all the options that are given, they are correct because they are the carriers of the genetic information. They carry amino acid. This function is done by tRNA, and they are the constituents of the ribosomes. It is rRNA. This is the function of messenger RNA. So these all are the types of RNA. So we'll be including all as the right answer. Question number 20 is on Chargaff's rule. They have given the bases. So the question says, while analyzing the DNA of an organism, a total number of 5,386 nucleotides were found out, of which proportion of different bases were adenine, how much? 29%, guanine, 17%, cytosine, 32%, and thymine, 17%. Now remember, in the Chargaff rule, it was told that purine will be equal to pyrimidines. Let's say an example here. A comes in the category of purine, but it binds to thymine as per the base pairing rule. Here A is 29%, but T is 17% only. That means Chargaff rule is violated, and also it is violated in the case of G and C too. That means it is single-stranded DNA. Okay, if Chargaff rule is followed, then it is always a double-stranded, but if it is not followed, then it is single-stranded DNA. In some viruses, DNA is synthesized by using RNA as a template, and such DNA is known as complementary DNA. And the example to this is HIV virus. It is made up of RNA. Once it invades the body of the human beings, because of the process of teminism or reverse transcription, it makes complementary DNA. Then this complementary DNA makes RNA, and then it makes proteins. So reversal of central dogma is seen because of the synthesis of cDNA. Next question is question number 22, which is quite elaborative, but a trick is there. I have explained this question in detail in a video of the CBSE sample paper solution. Please do look in for that as well, because it includes all the description of all the questions. However, here also I will be telling you. Just see, you have to remember a logic for solving this question, that in second generation you had N15, N14 only 2, and N14, N14 only 2. This you have to learn, right? So the question is asking that in a Michelson and Stahl experiment, for 4 generations, this is the keyword to solve the question. They are asking that N15, 15, what will be the ratio? N15, 14, N14, 14, what will be the ratio? I mean, you have to pick up the right ratios, and the first ratio should be for this, second for this, and third one will be for N14. Remember, in the Michelson and Stahl experiment, N15 was the denser one, N14 was the lighter one. So the answer to N15 will always be 0, right? This is a trick. So in this case, rule out these two options, because in both the options the one number is written and one corresponds to N15, 15. So we'll cut it. That means our option lies between option C and D. Now see, this is for the second generation. I have already written. In the third generation, right? In the third generation, N15, N14 will stay the same as 2, but this 2 will be doubled. So when you double 2, it will be 2 plus 2. You have to add 2 more. Okay, this is the logic, that every time when you are moving to next generation, you have to double the number of strands of N14, just double the value and add 2 to it. So it will become 6, right? This is for the third generation we have worked out, right? But here in the question they are asking for 4. Okay, so when we will do it for 4, let's write here 4. I'm writing the results here. So N15, N14 will stay only 2, right? N14, let's find out. Here it is 6. So what we'll do, we will double the value of 6. It will become 6 plus 6 or direct 12. We will add 2 to it. So it will become 14. Now if you will write the ratio, it will become in this order. 0 is to, then you have to write in 15 and 14, it is 2, then this 14 number, right? If you will simplify the ratio, it will become 0, 1 is to 7. This will become the right answer. Clear, everyone? If not, please look into my video that I'll be sharing at the end of this video, and please replay the concept to understand it, because this is just a trick based question. In the next question, if the sequence of nitrogen is base of the coding strand of DNA, coding strand has been given. Remember, DNA had 2 strands, 5 to 3 prime, that was the coding strand, and the another strand was 3 to 5 prime, and that served as the template strand. So they are asking that what would be the sequence of RNA transcript in that. Remember, there is a logic to solve this question. The sequence of messenger RNA is same to that of coding strand. The only difference is where it will be T in the case of DNA, it will be U in the case of RNA. So coding strand is given to you. What we'll do, we will simply write it down 5 prime, because messenger RNA will also be 5 prime, starting from 5 prime. So it will be A, U, G, A, U, G. That's the answer. So we'll be picking up this has to be the right answer. In this case, only option A is seen here, because B is on another, B, C, D are on another page. So luckily, to question number 3, option A is the right answer. The RNA polymerase holo enzyme transcribes. Students, you are attempting this question incorrect in most of the questionnaires. This is the right answer, the structural gene and the terminator gene. So whatever you have marked earlier, please make a change. Option C is the right answer, because in terminating process also RNA polymerase is helping. Now it depends upon RNA polymerase. It could take the help of Rho factor, which is a protein. In that case, the termination will be known as Rho dependent termination. If RNA polymerase is not seeking the help of Rho factor, it will be Rho independent termination, right? Please modify your answers. If you have earlier marked option D as to be the right answer. 25th question is given with messenger RNA sequence, and we need to find out the sequence of transfer RNA. Remember, suppose if messenger RNA has the sequence of this, and T codon which will be found on transfer RNA will be in opposite direction. So opposite of 5 prime will become 3 prime, opposite of 5 prime will become 3 prime, 3 will become 5 prime. A will bind with U, U will bind with A, and G will bind with C. So answer has come out to be 5 prime C, A, U. Remember, these terminate, the prime positions are also important, right? So please do solve out such type of questions to come to the right answer. Here option B is the right answer. The amino acid attaches to the transfer RNA at its 3 prime end. I have explained in one of the video also, this is 5 prime, this is 3 prime end, and this is DHU loop, this is anti-codon loop, this is variable arm, and the arm which I am drawing right now, it is T size C. Okay, so amino acid binds at the place that is marked by red, and this is 3 prime end. To initiate translation, the messenger RNA first binds to the smaller ribosomal subunit. So if this is our messenger RNA, it first binds to the smaller subunit. Then what happens? Then transfer RNA, then it binds to the initiating codon. Then what happens after this? A bigger unit comes and then it binds. So once these all are formed, that means initiation complex is ready to start the process of translation. The last question of this chapter is, in E. coli, the lac-operon gets switched on. So it gets switched on when lactose is present and it binds to the repressor. Because repressor is a protein that is a product of LAC-I gene. So once lactose is there, it will bind to the repressor to form lactose repressor complex, and this complex will not bind to the operator. Once it will not bind to the operator, the promoter that has RNA polymerase on it, it will move around the cisteron or operon, and it will help in the gene expression. I hope every question has been understood. If not, please replay the video. Every concept should be well understood with you. I wish you all the very best for your term 1 examination. Please come up with flying colors, and in case of any doubt, my contact number is there. I will help you in sorting any of the question asked by you. Please do share my channel Online Biology Tutorials with your family and your friends, whosoever is in grade 12. It will be much help to everyone. Thank you.